This space is made for a single young adult who just had their first job. Kind of, you know, like what most of our friends are going through. They're looking at buying their first property. And so they're looking at something, you know, in a relatively decent price with, you know, great qualities about it and a new space. So this is, I mean, a great price and a good area where everything is in the same place. So basically the whole space revolves around, I wanted to say my inspiration, a bit of comfort about, you know, a girl lives by themselves, they want an intimate space but big enough to invite friends over because they want to socialize. So this is kind of the ideal space, I think, for them, for a big entertaining area and yet small enough so people feel comfortable and cozy. So basically that's Charkit Market here.
Okay.
And yeah, there's a lot of them. And then I really wanted to create something that was feasible for people, more like a realistic, where someone's buying this and they have $10,000 budget. They're, you know, they're not looking at it through a magazine and be like, oh, that's so like editorial. But this is like, this is realistic. You buy things from IKEA and you customize them to whatever you feel like. You know, you could change up the colors once every few years just to, you know, get a different feel for the space. But something realistic, something that people could do by themselves is kind of a big approach that I went for too.
Great. Do you want to highlight some of your favorite aspects of
yeah,
space?
just, I mean, just little elements, kind of like I bought these 2 pieces from IKEA. They were, like, these chairs were like $50. They're these bar stools, and you could change them to that different height. And I just dipped them in the same paint that I did with this, just to add like a small little kind of creative touch to it. Same thing with the table. I bought this table from IKEA, and you could, this table is actually huge. You can have it sit up to about 8 people here, and then just painted, you know, a stencil on it. So something really simple that people can do. So that's what, and then the light, my favorite light. Just everything is so warm and, you know, kind of soft here, so that adds a bit of edginess and industrial look to it. So that's from Full House, which is really nice, I think. And picture walls, like all the pictures are taken from my travels actually. So something a little bit different about each piece, and yeah. There. So, and then the small little living area, and then the den here kind of did a more eclectic look with little elements of, you know, something a little bit different. I found this amazing store on Broadway that I've never been to before that just had, you know, you just walk in, you're like, oh my god, I want to get this, this, and this, and but you don't really know what it's for. And I saw
a little vintage store there.
Yeah, Step Back it's called.
Yeah.
Oh, the owner was so nice, and just, and every time you go there, it's something so different.
You can get him a list too.
Oh really?
You can
Yeah.
find it, he'll call you.
He was so nice. He was, yeah. I don't know why typewriters are so in lately, but I was looking, I went to this typewriter store on Main, and they're like, oh, we don't actually sell it, but this place, well, I went in there, then no typewriters, and then I found it.
You went to Regional Assembly of Text?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that store. It's amazing.
What's it called? Regional Assembly of Text.
Oh. It's one of those stores where you just kind of walk by, you're like, what is that? And it has
I'm
like
in there all the
cards.
time.
It's so, and they have a little writing club. Who writes letters anymore? But now you want to. So yeah, and then I just found it at this little kind of dinky store on Main. Kind of sketchy, handed the guy $30. I'm like, here you go. Here's a box with a typewriter in it. So yeah, so something a little bit different. And
But you got a nice one.
yeah, I did. And he's like, it works. I was like, I don't care if it works or not. It looks cool. Great dressers or nightstands, super duper heavy. And same, but yeah, just like a little decal just to kind of spruce up the space. Keep it clean, organized, I think everything. So, and bird-inspired elements, as you can tell, I have a lot of little bird things. And I joked with one of the sales ladies, like, if someone had a bird phobia here, they would not want to come into my suite. Right, because there's a lot of people with bird phobia. They're like, oh, this is going to be the worst thing for them ever.
I'm a little bird phobic, but I didn't get any.
You didn't get that
bird
vibe?
attack? No, no, I didn't. No.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, because my friend came and was like, you got a lot of bird stuff. And I was like,
I
I
didn't
don't know, I
even-
just
I
really
didn't even
like
know.
caught on. There was like little owl things and, you know, all this little stuff. So, you know, something a little bit playful and fun.
So Karen, we all agreed walking in here, we all got an amazing first impression. So that's something that, you know, is super, super important. We all know about that. A lot of us, especially me, gravitated right to this table.
Yeah.
Maybe I like eating. I don't know. There was something subliminal happening over
Yeah,
there.
just
I wasn't
kinda
sure
draws
what
you
it
to
was. But we think that shows amazing creativity, ingenuity. I actually think that this idea is so strong you could even market, you know, tables like this.
Yeah.
So really great job here. We love the light fixture as well. We think this is so strong that we almost don't need this, right?
Yeah.
you know, because you have quite a lot of things going on here, which makes it really interesting. But again, it's a little bit difficult to pull it all off, and we love it when we see people take risks creatively. And I think you've definitely done that. And I think some of the places where you've been really successful are also in your little office area here. We think that that's a really nice little vignette and story unto itself. We do feel a little bit of like competition between the two, right?
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit of disconnect there. At the same time, you know, I think that you did a really good job in bringing some really unique perspective to it, and we think that you also did a good job in capturing your demographic, which in your case is a single woman, right? Who's maybe it's her first apartment and she likes to entertain, and that maybe she has a little bit of a cerebral creative side to her as well with the vintage typewriter and all of those kinds of things. So lots of good storytelling here, and I think that it gives people a lot to think about when they come in as well.
I would like to have heard when you were describing your target market to say a little bit about, because to me it seems obvious that she likes to travel and collect things, but you didn't make mention of that. But I think that was probably a driving force behind some of the selections that you've done, and especially with your wall here and in your space. But yeah, overall we all sort of collectively agreed that you did have a really good, strong impression. Because when I came through here about a few weeks ago, that I just absolutely loved that, and I said, I am going to do this. Right? Because that just gives you so many ideas.
Yeah, I think it gets the wheels turning for people that come in, even though maybe they don't like a space like this, they could still take little ideas from here and go home and do it. I mean, my friend came in here, she's like, where's those stencils? I'm going to take them right now.
Yeah,
you know, she knew.
Really clever.
Yeah,
I was so happy to hear that you did that, because
people could do stuff, and and that's one thing I said I really love.
The stools we love.
I would say that was Coupland could have done those.
So one off and just be like, oh, where'd you get that? It's like, well, I got that from IKEA, but you can't actually get that because I made it, So still have their little hand in what they do. So
another thing that we should point out as well, from a career perspective, we all felt that your presentation was really strong too, I think that no matter how great your work is, if you don't have the self-promotion skills, then sometimes a lot of your hard work can go unnoticed. So I think that you come across as really professional, and that's going to go a long way for your career.
Great.
I think so too. One of the things that none of us were really crazy about were the drapes. Yeah, it's sort of like one of those love or hate things, right?
Yeah, it was a very subjective.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
But it's still it does give you a nice. It competes again a little bit with that wall, because that wall is so strong, right? And then it's just fighting a little bit with that.
With too much pattern.
You almost didn't need it with the pattern here, but.
Should have known that before. That drapes caused me a lot of grief.
We've heard that a lot of the drapes have been a bit of a. At least you don't have the. Do you have the really high ceilings in here?
I do.
Yeah.
But you know what? From the get-go, I knew I wasn't gonna get drapes that long, so I actually made them, and it was. It's simple. I went to the fabric store. The lady's like, it's really simple. Think about it. It's just a big square. You're right. It's a big square. I take it home. I had to stretch it all the way across the corridor, and had to get someone to help me fold them because it was just so big. I was like, she's right. It's just a giant square, but man, this is a big piece of fabric. Because I know how to sew, so you're just sewing all the corners. But I'm like, man, this is big. So it's my first stab at making drapes. And, So I learned a lot from this too.
Yeah, well, we're glad that they were long enough.
Yeah, those were custom.
Yeah, they're custom.
Yeah.
And this was a good use of space, and this is a hard suite to furnish.
I love the benefit.
The room can handle it.
Yeah. Really, really well tailored. The little piping here is great. A bunch of different textures, all in the same space, but not competing with each other. The side tables, I think, are great. I think this is a really, really, really successful. I think this is successful too. It sort of helps open up the room. I'd lose that. I don't need anything there. Just keep it
simple.
Really, really simple. I do like the bird cages as an object. I think they're just in a bad spot. I think with one of the challenges of this particular layout is flow, because you're sort of forced with where doors are,
Yeah.
entry, and there's no other way to get to the balcony other than through that door.
For
And
that door, yeah.
I'm just gonna bang my head on that every time I go
I
by.
feel like they need a little bit of breathing space around them.
A little bit
Yeah.
more,
Yeah,
yeah.
not right up
I was
against-
gonna hang them on the corner, but then I was kind of maybe they just kind of get lost. And it's so funny too when I do spaces like with, you know, at my actual work, like I'm walking through the space and I think I'm totally fine, but I'm also 5'0" nothing.
Right,
And
right.
then so
And you're not carrying 5 grocery bags.
exactly. So I'm always just like choo choo
Which I
choo
think
choo.
is, there's a shelf.
Oh yeah, right in there.
Because again, there's going to be so much flow around
Yeah,
in
when there's
circles
10
here,
people.
and if you have groceries
You're
and
like,
a
wham,
laptop
right in
bag,
there.
you're going to be whacking that. And these are really small things.
Yeah.
But I think the drapes here are really good. I like the, again, really tailored, and I love that little button-down look.
For me, the chair feels a little bit, I love the chair, but it's a little bit out of scale for everything else in this room. Just gets a little dwarfed over there
And
because you've got all this height and everything.
And looking now, maybe that color could have been where the feature wall is. I think with the feature wall, just in general, there's quite a bit going on.
Yeah.
With color and with, some are just blank and it's just about the color, and some, like that one, are about, 3 or 4 different ideas. I would have just simplified that somehow and it would have helped flow things a little bit better.
Yeah.
I like also not having too many accent walls, that especially when you can see them together.
Together, yeah.
Yeah, that maybe one paint in this room would have given more importance to that.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And I didn't really get why the mauve. I like the mauve by itself with
Yeah.
this palette. It's really pretty, but then I didn't get how it's sort of related.
Yeah, it just it does feel like 2 very separate rooms, but it's kind of how I envisioned how people, it's like people are out there, your friends are out there, but
Yeah.
this is your space,
Right.
this is how, you're alone in here, right? So it's kind of a good and bad that it's a little disjoint, but you just feel like, when you're in your bedroom, you want to be in like a different world almost.
Right.
So.
And I like the fact that you used a lot of your own travel photography. I would have maybe edited a bit more, but
Yeah.
picked the photos that really are great photos,
Mhm.
and who cares if you took them for someone else.
Yeah.
And just be a little bit aware of that it sometimes can feel a little bit too
So yeah, because
personal.
it feels personal, to me, and then
Yeah.
they're like, "Why is there a donkey in a thing?"
Because it's different when
Because you know
you're.
the story behind that photo and the donkey, but I don't.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's bad or,
Oh, yeah, no.
it's just you have to be careful that
Yeah.
your story doesn't always necessarily
Translate.
translate into the bigger story.
Definitely.
That said, I really like the use of mirror there and the lightness
Yeah, they're great.
of the lamps.
Yeah.
Works really well.
One of the stronger ones in my opinion, and I like the big chunky headphone.
Chunky,
That's
yeah.
great.
too.
Yeah, it's just actually this room was actually smaller than I thought when you take everything out of it. This looks like a really big room, but once the guy put in the bed, I was like,
Yeah. Well,
I was like, where is my room?
Yeah.
I know, it's in my
It's
room.
hard with the,
Yeah.
yeah.
The funny story about the chair is actually that chair was out there before, but then I kind of ran out of budget, so I traded in the chair for something else. But then the other chair I was a bit unsure about it anyway, so maybe it kind of turned out to be a fortunate thing that kind of left the room. So this chair is actually more of this room than the old chair was. So yeah. Pre-planned a trip like a really long time ago back to Asia, and then everything got moved back. So I was like, ooh, I still want to go away. So then it was good, but I got inspired while I was away, and
Hundreds of people look at your work now. And
yeah, exactly. So you know what? But it was good. It really just. It's different because when you're a designer, you tell people to hang that picture at 5 feet on center. But when you do it, you're like, oh my God, is this 5 feet? And it's just so much harder to do it. I'm going to write thank you cards to all my site guys because I'm like, this is so much harder to paint your own stuff and to put up your everything. Because buying stuff doesn't take time. You go to a store, you go this, and this. Someone carries it to your car for you.
But if you've done it, then now you have a little bit more say.
Oh, then you know it's so much
because you can actually say,
harder.
I've been here, I've done it now, and I know that you can do a better job,
Yeah.
or I know what to look out for. It all helps.
It puts everything in perspective now. Who knew painting a wall was that hard? Cleaning out? Oh my gosh.
Cleaning up.
Yeah.